is the D to the A to the M to the I, Lola. Don't even try. My name is Damilola Elliot, lead photographer at Damell Photography. That's what's up. Photography to Damilola Elliot is basically for me my own way as a creative person to pass a message across, right? What kind of message you might ask? The messages vary depending on the kind of photography. If it's a wedding photography, then I'm trying to convey love, I'm trying to convey happiness, I'm trying to convey joy. If it's maybe architecture photography, I'm trying to convey intellectual prowess, I'm trying to convey strength and power. You know, if it's some kind of documentary photography, I'm trying to convey a message of society. If it's something that has to do with maybe death, I'm also trying to convey pain, hurt, and loss. So for me, photography is my own way of communication, you know, through stilled moments. That's it for me. All right, so now let's talk about Cindy and Andy's wedding. They had their traditional wedding first in Lagos, and then a day or two after, or so it was, they had the white wedding. But the traditional wedding was something very, very small. I mean, like close-knit family. There were less than 100 people or so there. And I had known Andy for, you know, several years. So when he told me about his wedding, I was like, I mean, hey man, this is going to be sweet. I mean, Andy is a cool guy, you know, fantastic and everything. And then I had not met his fiancée. So he showed me his proposal video and everything, and it was all mushy and blah, 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 the proposal and all of that. I was like, okay, man, guy, you didn't go to night market, man. You saw real good, she's pretty. You know, so I was looking forward to meeting her on the traditional wedding day. And then the day came. And no, prior to that day, I met her at an event. You know, he was like, hey, Damell, this is Cindy. And I was like, wow, guy, you know what's up, you know? And then we spoke, and, you know, she, right from the very first moment, she was all smiles and giggling. And I was like, this is my kind of bride, you know? You don't need to say anything. They would smile and laugh naturally. You'd have so many natural moments to just capture, you know, with her and with the wedding as a whole. So we got talking about the wedding, what they had in mind, what they wanted to do, my approach and style and things like that. And then the day of the traditional wedding came. We got to where they were both going to dress up, where the bride was, first of all. You know, the makeup time and everything. And that was when, you know, I got to meet her, like meet her and her family. You know, and it was a whole lot of fun. You know, you had the video crew there, you had the makeup crew there, you had family there and things like that. And sometimes it tends to be very chaotic, you know, but surprisingly it was really calm. And, you know, that's what happens when you have, you know, people who know what they're doing and who know how to get the job done. And family who just wants the bride to have a fantastic day. You know, you don't go yelling, oh, it's 2 o'clock, get out of the house. No, because you know you're going to be putting the bride under a lot of pressure, right? So with Cindy, it was, I mean, she was just smiling all the way. It was, you know, from her makeup time to, you know, even when I wanted to do some photos with her ring, you know, she was like, take it. You know, she was just so excited. You know, there was really a moment without her smiling. She was surrounded by a lot of fantastic people, family, makeup artists. I mean, the atmosphere was just beautiful, right? And then we got to the venue of the traditional wedding. But before then, while we were still at the hotel where she was dressing up for the traditional wedding, we had to do like a mini photo shoot. And she was like, look, Damell, just do what you want to do. You know, when a bride says that, you know, it just gives you room to think out of the box, yeah? And we had a great time. Got to the venue for the traditional wedding. I was really surprised. in my entire photography career, I think the traditional wedding is the shortest I've ever covered. In less than 3 hours, we were done. I think 3 hours is actually too much. You know, maybe 2 hours, I mean, from start to finish. Done. Beautiful. You know, and I think I would love to do more of that. That would be really good. Now we go to the white wedding. Wow. A lot of drama, you know, regarding the hotel and all of that happened in the morning while they were dressing up and everything. But every Damel wedding, we always say nothing must dampen your spirit. No matter what happens, the fact that we're there, we're going to make sure that we have a wonderful time. So we got, the bride got dressing up, the groom was dressing up in his room and things like that. And I asked them prior to the wedding that, hey, would you guys, want to do a first look? And they were like, okay, what do I mean? Now, basically, a first look is when the bride and the groom have like a surprise, look at each other before they go to the venue of the joining, right? And they were like, yeah, that would be really nice. So at the hotel, I had gotten the groom, to stand in one room, one space, like a lobby space. And I got the bride, walking up behind after we had done some individual photos. They hadn't seen each other prior to that time. So he didn't even know what her dress looked like and everything. And she was just walking up behind him. And, I could see the tense in his face. He was like, Damel, what does she look like? Damel, what does she look like? And I'm like, guy, relax, man. She fine, And then she was, taking her steps and all of that. And then, she just taps his shoulder and he turns around and he goes like, it was like, gosh, this is what I have been dreaming all my life, It was such a beautiful moment for me, for them, for, everyone. It was, it's something you don't rehearse. It's something you don't manipulate. It's something you can't force. It is something that just happened. And it was just a beautiful time. And that for me was a beautiful click moment for Andy and Cindy's wedding. Photography had always been something that had been lying somewhere in there that I didn't know existed. I got into school to do architecture. Prior to that, I'd always loved, sketching and drawing and things like that. So I really didn't know what it was I wanted to do, but I knew it was something art, creative, and the next best thing to come to my mind was architecture. So I went in for my architecture, and while still doing my architecture, I just developed this thing about photography. We had a project, and the lecturer was like, we should take pictures of some night scenes and all of that, and I couldn't believe it, the pictures came out really good, and then I got this 2 megapixel camera. Anybody hearing that now, they'll be like, 2 what? I shot my very first wedding with a 2 megapixel pocket camera, a Canon camera, and that's how it all started, from what was a hobby, turned from hobby to complete lifestyle. That's it. And it's been, it's had its own share of ups and downs and ups and downs and ups. But I'm, happy to say there have been more ups and more positives, than downs. Coming from, your typical Nigerian and African background, parents, back then, so to speak, maybe a few now, have this mindset that photography is not something to be proud of. You don't want to be termed as mama photographer or papa photographer. You like to be termed as mama doctor, mama lawyer, mama engineer, excuse me, or something like that. But things have evolved now, and many parents, would even rather have their children go into the non white collar jobs, and get into the creatives because they've seen that there's so much, not even just in terms of monetary value, but there's so much creativity and ability to express yourself, and why limit that child or that individual to being a lawyer, a pilot, an engineer, a doctor or something, when there's so much he or she can do as a football player, as a basketball player, as a tennis player, or hey, as a photographer. All right, so we're talking about Tosi and Rotimi's wedding now. Man, Tosi is one of the most unique brides ever. She's just amazing. She has basically no cares. She's so much fun. To be around. I always try to meet up with my couples, before the day of their weddings, right? But I didn't get to see Tosi or Rotimi until the wedding day, right? And I go to the hotel room. I meet up with Tosi. She's about to get her makeup done. And I was like, okay, hi, everybody. And everybody goes, hi, Damel. And I'm like, who's the bride? And she's like, me, and I was like, okay, it's going to be fun today. We did like a high five thing and, we just got talking and, it was fun because, there was no prior long conversation that was held 3 or 4 months before or 1 year before. That day was the first day we were seeing eye to eye. And we were connected through an events planner, right? So before I started clicking, while still getting my gear out of my bag, I was just, taking a look at the environment, okay, hearing conversations and all of that. And that kind of helps me to build up my mindset about the atmosphere and who the bride really is, yeah? And she was just conversing and the girls were just conversing and I was like, she's cool, man. She is cool, and anytime I wanted to do some photos, she always had this funny face. She's just a happy bride. I mean, Tosi, you're a happy bride, And it was just so much fun documenting her wedding. She was ready to do anything. She was ready to, she was like, look, Damel, I'm here to have fun. And I always tell my brides and the couples, if I meet them before, I say, look, Lagos has completely unpredictable weather. If by any chance it rains today, for any reason, it just rains today, trust me, we are going to have fun. And she was like, I like this guy. And I was like, I like you too. And then we just, got on clicking and everything. And we got on with the regular makeup time, dress up time, photos of her accessories and things like that. And the good thing was that the groom was also in the same hotel, right? Which is what I like to... So no, he wasn't in the same hotel. He dressed up at home, but he came to the hotel to pick her up, which was so cool, right? So when we were done with all her photos and all of that, we now were able to do some, if you might call it, pre-nuptial, photos of the couple together before we went for the ceremony. And that was really cool. Mm-hmm. The click moment for me at Tosi and Rotimi's wedding, back to what I said earlier, Tosi is this Indiana Jones, and her hubby, he's just like the James Bond, cool guy, and they're just fantastic, yeah? So right after the ceremony, where we're doing all the informal photos and formal photos and group photos and everything, I was like, hey, look, would you guys like to do something a bit different, They were like, like what? I said, okay, do you know what? I'd like to do, I love your dress. Would you guys like to do some, caught in the air kind of thing? And they were like, yes, now, of course, let's do it. And I was like, but you have to remove your shoes, though. She was like, of course. Meanwhile, you had all the aunties and uncles they were saying, Majel Shubu, Majel Jabo. In other words, don't let them follow. Don't break your legs. And it was like, so much fun in the midst of all of that. And, I now did like the 1, 2, 3. Let's see you guys jump. And I was going to take several shots and all. And boom, this happened. I mean, fantastic. I mean, look at her expression. Look at his expression. I mean, just two happy go-getters, and for me, that was a fantastic click moment for their wedding. So now we're talking about Theo and Tola. Wow, my buddies, man. I mean, I got to know them at about the same time, but I think I knew Theo first. Yes, I knew Theo first. Yes. Before I met up with Tola. And they're just two peas in a pod, just fantastic. When Theo told me about the wedding, and I was like, awesome, man, and he gave me the details and all of that. Then I just started thinking, okay, I like to do this, I like to do that, okay, where's the venue, okay, this is the venue, okay, what's possible, what restrictions do we have, what limitations and blah, blah, and all of that. And this always happens anytime we get to talk about the wedding. So that nothing, in quote, catches us by surprise. If anything does, we're kind of prepared, and even if we don't know about it, we have a way of overcoming it, yeah? So for Theo and Tola, they had their traditional wedding, I think 2 days or 3 days before the white wedding. And it was, close-knit family thingy and all of that. I remember when I got to Tola's house. She didn't dress up at a hotel. And, she just kept saying, Damel, today's my wedding. I was like, yeah. And she's like, Damel, today's my wedding. And I'm like, yeah, And she's like, I'm getting married. And I'm like, okay. And she was just so excited. There were several moments she would just go like, yeah, as in, today is my wedding. And I'm like, wait, today's your traditional, my friend. Your wedding is in 2 days. And she goes, it's all the same thing. I'm getting married from today. And I'm like, it's really good to see brides, grooms so excited, about their weddings. Especially now when it seems like getting married isn't, what I'm saying, but they're excited and happy about it. And I'm like, you go, girl. That's what we're talking about. And every time I wanted to, take a photo, she'd be like, Damel, wait. And she goes to one corner and she's like, I'm getting married. And I'm like, are there butterflies in your stomach or something right now? But no, she's just happy, and that just created the right atmosphere for so many things to happen. It was just beautiful to capture, basically. Yeah. And I was like, hey guys, you know what? While we're here and everybody has gone inside, before you guys go in, let's do something. And they were like, what's up? What do you want to do? And Tola was like, yeah, tell me. I was like, okay, do you guys see the rocks over there? Let's go over there and do something. And they were like what now? Let's go. And while we were going, I had no idea what we were going to do. But I knew we were going to do something, yeah? So I told Tola, I would like you to get on the rocks, and I tell Theo, you need to get on the rocks too, but you're wearing heels, and you need to remove your shoes. I mean, I hadn't even finished. She had removed her shoes and tossed the thing. Said, no, let's go. I think I have an idea what you want to do. I was like, what? He says, let's go. And then, she went on the rocks with Theo and everything. Now, it was a very cloudy day, and you had other people at the beach and all of that. So I wanted this to be about them, basically, and about the atmosphere around their wedding. So there are certain things that just came to my mind. Rather than doing a stand-up, straight-on, eye-level view, why don't I do like a mouse-level view and just shoot them against the sky? And I just, told them, look, let's recreate some Titanic here. And the groom, Theo, and the bride, they did this, their, I believe I can fly kind of thingy and all of that. And the wind sincerely helped me with the veil. So what you see wasn't somebody tossing it and running away. It was the wind just saying, Damel, we are here for you today, and just blowing the veil, and I mean, we get this. We get this. And I think for me, it is my click moment in this wedding. Yes. And I'm proud of it. So we're talking now about Michael and Funke's wedding. My two new friends, fantastic people. The wedding was in the U.S., in Oklahoma, and I was really honored and privileged to have documented everything from the pre-wedding session to the traditional wedding and to the white wedding in the Nigerian couple that live in the U.S. I hadn't met them physically in person until the day I arrived, right? And, from the airport to the hotel and everything, we just got connecting again. And that helped to build, a tighter relationship between us. And we had agreed before I arrived on the day we were going to do the pre-wedding. And we get to the park and, we just start clicking away. For me, the pre-wedding time is always a time I use to kind of understudy the couple. I use that time to see the chemistry between them, to see their temperaments. I deliberately do some things to see how the groom reacts, to see how the bride reacts, and I sometimes, stay back and just watch them from afar and just, see what happens when, in quote, they don't see me. That helps me to build up some kind of understanding of, what happens and how best to relate with them. Sometimes, you meet couples that give you room to be you. And when that happens, hey, let's knock some socks off. And some tend to be a bit formal and don't have an easy flow with a third party, So we get into the pre-wedding time, and this was a day or two, 2 days I think it was, before their wedding. They had their traditional wedding and white wedding on the same day. The traditional in the morning and the white wedding sometime in the early afternoon. So we got to the venue for the pre-wedding session, and her brother came to assist me. Not that he was taking photos, but he helped out with my lights and reflector. And, that was always so cool. When you have someone in the family who is willing to hey, I'm going to do this for my brother, do this for my sister and all of that. And, it just created some, the right atmosphere for all of us to bond and network and talk beyond the level of photographer and client, which was really good for me. And then, for Comfort and Michael, Funke and Michael, there were so many click moments. Gosh, you guys, from the pre-wedding to the traditional wedding to the white wedding, there were so many. But I think one that stood out for me was from the white wedding when, the bride was walking in with her father. And then the groom, saw her, and I stood behind the bride and her father, and I just saw the groom, and he was all teary-eyed. You really can't fake that. You understand? It was just like, yes, this is true. This is unhindered. Look, all the macho-ness had dropped, as in, And he was wiping his eyes and all of that, and that was totally unscripted. And I'm happy that I was there at that time to get that moment and give it to them as something they would always look at as a time of, in quote, vulnerability, as in I let my guard down. I trust you. I believe in you, I love you, and that was just it for me. And aside that, there were just so many. I remember during the traditional wedding, when the groom was coming in with his friends, man, when you talk about a Niger guy that can komole, what is komole? When you begin to dance. I mean, this guy was grooving. You know, he spread out his agbada, you know, and he was rocking it on the floor. And I'm like, man, this wedding should have held in Nigeria, you know. But it was a whole lot of fun. And then during the pre-wedding, you know, there was this bridge where I had the couple to sit on, and I just, you know, told them, look, I'm not here. Just you guys are alone on this bridge, you know, just this short wooden bridge. You're alone here, and it's all about both of you. And I bring up my 70 to 200 millimeter lens, excuse me, and I go pretty far, you know, and I just let them do their thing, you know. And I was just clicking away, and it was fun to see.